Hi guys, it's Pruitt, and first of all, thank you for clicking on this video. And today we're going to be talking about kind of a taboo topic that I don't know if a lot of other people really think about this or agree with it or see it in a positive way. But based off of the title of this video, it's that being dependent isn't necessarily a bad thing. In our society, it is viewed, especially for women, to be independent and to be empowering and be a powerful woman. And being a powerful woman means being independent. And personally, I think that it's possible to be a powerful, dependent woman. And just the fact that being labeled or called dependent can be kind of triggering for some people. I mean, when I originally was thinking about how I might be a dependent person, or that, some people would call me dependent, I was kind of offended. But then I realized it's not a bad thing. It's just who I am. And a little bit of sociology here, but it's because most of society says that being independent is best, it makes dependency not good. Yet if society said dependency was good, then everyone would agree and it would be normal. But because it's not normal and society says independent is better, then being dependent isn't as good. Just literally based off of society and not off of personal, individual, independent, if you will, opinions. And when I say that someone may be dependent, or that I'm even dependent, which I am, I'm not saying I'm completely, fully on my knees asking my partner about everything or whatever. Like, I'm still independent in my own ways, but I guess there's multiple ways to define dependency, and I'll go over a few of them that just come up in at least my life, because I'm really the only one that can talk about it, about me, and I can't really speak for other people's definitions of dependency. So I've sat around a lot thinking about, man, I just don't feel fulfilled in my life. I don't really know what to do with my life. Like, what makes me happy? What gives me self-worth? All these things, like, what makes me really happy? And I was just thinking, like, oh, doing things for other people make me happy. Doing things for myself doesn't always make me feel the most satisfied, fulfilled, and happy. And then I was thinking, well, isn't that just called being codependent, where you feel like you don't really have a lot of self-worth without helping somebody else or doing something for someone else? And I mean, yes, there can be toxic codependency and toxic dependency and all that, but I think if you find that healthy balance, it's not a bad thing. Because here's the thing, if it makes you feel happy, genuinely fulfilled and happy, and your partner doesn't feel overwhelmed or smothered by you being a little bit more independent or dependent or codependent, then who freaking cares what anyone else thinks or what society thinks? For example, I like to do a lot of things for my partner. No, I'm not a mother to my partner, but I like to cook and clean, go grocery shopping, clean the apartment, etc. Do they still clean up their share and do the dishes and pay some bills and give emotional support and all the other things? Yes, they do. It's definitely a partnership. We're not roommates. We're not friends. We're a romantic partnership, romantic relationship couple. And I find personal fulfillment by doing that. Yet I'm also not up in their space when they're trying to have alone time either. Like, when I say dependent, I'm not saying I have to be glued to their hip. It just means that I find fulfillment in picking up the apartment or cooking for them or cleaning something off of their desk when they could have done that. But you know what? I just wanted to do it for them because it makes me feel good. And what's so wrong about that? I still have my independent parts of me, of course. I mean, I have my own job. I am going to school for what I want to go to school for. I dress the way I want to dress. I cook the way I want to cook and the things that I want to cook. Of course, if it's a compromise, like, oh, what would you like to have for dinner this week? I mean, and if they don't really have an idea, then that's fine. I can think of my own ideas. It's just, I like to have input from my partner because to me that's respectful. And if they just genuinely don't know what to have for dinner this week, then sure, I'll do it. But I'm not going to go and say, can you pick out all my outfits for this week? And can I spend every single bit of my free time with your free time? It's not that type of dependency or codependency. I still have my own independence. I mean, just me doing this podcast and having this channel, that's dependent in and of itself. I mean, they're not the ones forcing me to do it, or they're not the ones that are giving me the idea and making me seem like I have to do it in order to make them happy or whatever. Like, it's not toxic. And quite frankly, my boyfriend, he likes that of me. He likes that I'm my own person. I'm independent in my own way. Yet he enjoys that I like to find fulfillment and happiness by doing things for other people. And that's not always only things for him, but just people in general. I mean, I guess to just say it out loud, I'm going to school for human services. I mean, if that doesn't tell you anything about me, I don't know what does. Because, I mean, at least in my point of view, I just want to help people. That's literally all I want to do with my life. And, I mean, I do things for myself, of course, to, like, make sure I'm healthy and have good mental health and whatnot. But ultimately, like, my top priority is that I would rather do something for other people, and that gives me satisfaction. And for other people, satisfaction could mean always doing self-care, always doing things for themselves, and not in a selfish way. I'm not trying to like bash those people. I'm just saying that some people are a little bit more like intro, like where they kind of like take care of themselves like a lot, and then they kind of I don't want to say neglect others, but they just like put themselves first. And there's nothing wrong with putting yourself first if that is what makes you happy and the least stress-free and the least overwhelmed, etc. There's nothing wrong with being the other way either. I'm not bashing the other way. I'm just kind of bringing light to the idea of dependency. Now, of course, if you are going to be dependent, and when I say be dependent, that's not putting this solid title on you. I mean, if you want to be independent one day and dependent the next day, okay, this is your life. If that what makes you happy, like literally don't even, like the thing is that people care too much about titles and sticking to those titles. But it's like, if I want to wear a dress today and freaking like a flannel tomorrow, I can, and it makes me happy. Anyway, so I'm kind of going off on a little tangent, but kind of what I wanted to talk about was that you want to make sure the people in your life, the people around you that you're going to be kind of dependent on or dependent to, are okay with that. And so if you're going to be in a relationship and you're going to be kind of on the dependent side, which is okay, as long as it's healthy and you're still giving them their space that they need or want. Like, it's like, as long as they're okay with it and you're still, like, setting boundaries for each other and, like, for yourself and for themselves and all that good stuff, I think it can really work out. It's just that both parties have to be on board and have to kind of have, like I said, like, kind of boundary conversation, like, my boyfriend and I, we have specific days in the week that's dedicated to us. And then the other days of the week, that's like what we call our independent days. And so for him, that means doing things alone or just doing what he prefers to do. And then same for me, I can do what I want to do and do what I prefer to do. Sometimes that does mean like being in the same room as him reading a book. There's nothing wrong with that as long as he's okay with it. I mean, if he literally like wanted me out of the room, then I would go out of the room. But as long as I'm giving him like some space of like just allowing him to do what he wants to do without me talking to him and like interfering with anything, he doesn't mind that I'm in the room with him. But like I said, you have to make sure that your partner or your friend or your family member or whoever is okay with it and that there's like a conversation about it to make sure that no one's gonna feel overwhelmed or smothered by this. For a long time, I felt really like pressured to be more independent and act more independent and try and find self-worth through other means, which you know what, you should have resources of self-worth, like multiple outlets that make you have self-worth. Like obviously it's not good to just only have the one thing that gives you self-worth, but basically I was just trying to like force myself to be this big, powerful, independent woman that don't need nobody. But you know freaking what? I like community, I like connection, I like doing things for others, and that makes me feel the most fulfilled. That makes me feel the most happy. And it was one of those things where I just felt guilty or felt like I was being attacked or that I was like some like tiny weak woman because of how I'm just tend to be a little bit more dependent. But the other day I was like, you know what? I just need to be me. I need to be honest with myself and honest with others and just say, hey, you know what? I am like this. And, you know, I was bringing it up to my boyfriend and he was like, yeah, you do give off like a dependent vibe. But he didn't view that in a negative way. Like he wasn't, like when he said that to me, originally I was kind of offended. I was like, wow, you think I'm dependent? Like, I'm not dependent. I can be an independent woman. Yes, I can be an independent woman. I've been an independent woman before. I know how to be one. I can be one. I'm fine for the most part. But when I am completely independent on my own, by myself, nobody around me, I get sad. Like, at the very least, I want to like go volunteer somewhere just so I can talk to people or when I'm at work, you know, just having the community and helping my coworkers out, you know, like, and maybe that's just like an extroverted thing. I don't know, because I'm not really that extroverted, but maybe that part of me is extroverted, and that's a thing too. Just because you're introvert doesn't mean you're necessarily 100% introvert and that you have to act 100% introvert just because you say you're introvert. You know, there can be like bits of you where it's like, oh, this part and this part I'm really extroverted at, but then these things I'm more introverted, and or vice versa. And you know what? That's okay. You're allowed to like have a bunch of different percentages of a bunch of different things. You don't have to be one or two things, you know? And this is just like a whole motivational speech I'm doing right now, but about how you don't have to fit in a small box just because you gave yourself a title or just because someone else gave you a title. I mean, you're allowed to be a bunch of different things at any given time because it's based off of like what makes you feel happy. And of course, when I'm saying all this, I mean in a healthy, non-harmless way. Obviously, I don't condone anything that would be toxic, unhealthy, or harmful to others or to yourself. So yeah, just like getting that out there that, yeah, I mean, it would seem obvious, but I guess I have to just make sure that we're all on the same page about that. But this is like a really like passionate topic I have, and guess what? I'm passionate about a lot of different topics, and this is just one of them. And so I just wanted to make a little audio about it. And I'm honestly kind of acting almost defensive right now. I mean, I don't feel defensive. I mean, it's more of like I'm trying to justify as if people are against me right now, so maybe that would consider defensive. But I'm just really passionate and I'm trying to like justify this topic in case anybody is not saying like people can disagree, I don't care. But I guess I'm just bringing it up to the people who view themselves as dependent in a negative way. They're like, man, I'm so dependent. I shouldn't be like that. But why do I keep being dependent? Because it's who you are? Like, stop trying to fake and be something you're not. If you just lean on the dependent side, then accept it and embrace it. That's who you are. Like, stop trying to be independent if you're freaking not. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I'm not trying to like reiterate things a bunch of times, but I'm just saying like just because you lean on the dependent side doesn't mean you have zero independency to you. I mean, like I said, the really the only dependent part of it about me is that I just tend to put other people first, and tend to like rather do things for other people than do things for myself. Like, for instance, I'll sit around all freaking day and do nothing, but if I hear there's someone coming over, or I hear that my boyfriend is having a bad day, I'll get off my butt immediately and I'll start cleaning the house. I'll like cook his favorite meal, or I'll plan something for us to do, or I'll just think of something to like make his day better when he gets home, or I'll think of something to make the gathering a really nice time when the company comes over. Or if it's Christmas time and I want to make, or say maybe not Christmas time, but say I want to make a craft. I do not make crafts for myself. I make crafts for others. If I make a craft for myself, it seems pointless. But if I make a craft for others, I'm independently deciding to make this craft for others, and I'm independently deciding what to make and how to make it. But I like the satisfaction of giving it away to others rather than keeping it for myself, because then it seems like it has more point and meaning to it rather than just hoarding it on my desk or something. So, I mean, those are just some examples of kind of, or for instance, like, if we're having our independent days, or we're not specifically spending time together, but yet we're still in the same apartment, like he likes to work on some electronic sculptures that he makes, or he will just jump on Discord and play some games with some guys. And I used to think, I have to be in another room and I have to like just pretend that I'm busy and being independent or whatever. But really, it's like, I want to read my book, but I want to read my book like in the same room as him. I don't want to necessarily talk to him because, I want some independency too. I mean, I get overwhelmed if we're like 24/7 around each other too. I mean, I need my alone time as well. But when I say alone time, I mean like I'm alone but next to him. And I'm not saying I have to be constantly in the same room as him or constantly attached to his hip. I'm just saying, like, if I'm just gonna read a book and he's gonna like work on sculptures or play some games, we're not gonna talk to each other. We're just gonna do our own thing. It's just next to each other. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you're sitting there thinking like, oh yeah, like that doesn't seem right, or that doesn't seem healthy, or I wouldn't do that, or my boyfriend wouldn't like that, then that's you. That's your relationship. That's what you think. That's what that doesn't work for you. But guess what? It works for me. It works for him. It works for us. And that's what matters. And that's what should matter to even your relationship if, say, you're kind of leaning on that side, and maybe you have that conversation with your boyfriend or girlfriend about it and see what they think, and kind of just reflect on yourself and bring some light to that, and maybe it'll just make things make more sense and be less stressful instead of like pretending to like do things for yourself on your independent days when like really all I want to do is like make a project, like make a painting for my boyfriend, or make like a crochet a heart for my mom or something like that. It's like there's nothing, I don't know, there's just nothing wrong with it. I mean, if it doesn't work for you or your relationship or just you as an independent person, that's fine. I'm not saying that that's bad either. I'm just saying that like being dependent also isn't bad if it works for you and makes you genuinely feel happy, makes you feel like yourself. And of course, as long as your partner is also okay with it. And honestly, if they're not okay with it, I would just kind of like compromise a little bit at the very least, obviously, because you don't want to not be yourself, of course. And I mean, that's like a whole other can of worms. I don't really want to give relationship advice about that situation, but I'm just saying, like, at the very least, have that conversation and try and compromise and stuff. But other than that, I would not. I did not prepare any relationship advice about anything further than having just the conversation. But I'm just saying, guys, like, that's not the point of this video. I'm not trying to give relationship advice. So if you're in that situation, look up another YouTube video because I didn't prepare anything like that. Anyway, I already said that like 5 times, but anyway, so I think I got pretty much everything across that I wanted to get across, and I keep feeling like I have to justify myself, but it would just basically be me repeating everything that I just said. And I feel like repeating things makes things more solidified or like jogs people's memories when really like you probably just already remember it. But basically I'm saying that I'm independent. I do independent things, but I tend to lean on the dependent side, and there is literally nothing wrong with that as long as it's not unhealthy, toxic, or harmful. So thank you for listening to this audio, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you come back for more. I don't know when I'll post again because it's just kind of random. So yeah, so bye.